Hello. Let's talk about taking photos of lichen for iNaturalist. So, first thing we can talk about is distance. When you're taking photos of lichen, the features that distinguish it from other species are often microscopic. So you're going to want to take photos of the whole lichen. So in this case, we're looking at a Flavoparmelia, green shield lichen. We're going to want to take a photo of the entire organism. So I call this a medium shot. We're going to take a look at some of its more microscopic features. So if you have a good cell phone camera, you can do this. So you want to take a close-up shot, and we can talk about the different features of the lichen that we want to capture in those close-up shots in a minute here. And then we want to take a far shot, so of the entire substrate that the lichen is on. So if it's a tree, if it's a rock, you want to be able to identify the tree or rock, or figure out the mineral content of the rock. So taking a look at some of the more diagnostic features of lichen. Right here, we have a Parmotrema. So this is a ruffle lichen. First of all, we can talk about the color. So this is a blue-gray or a gray right here. I want to take a look at the underside too. The underside is white. So these are all features that you want to take photos of when you're capturing an observation of a lichen for iNaturalist. We can also talk about the lobes. So on this green shield lichen here, how the lobes split and what size the lobes are identifying features. Whether any lichens have apothecia on them. So I'll come down here to this lichen. This is a Lechinora genus lichen, and it has apothecia. It's those cup-shaped things. So you want to capture those in as much detail as possible. Some lichen, for example, the Parmotrema that we were looking at earlier, uses iridia on the lobe margin, and it also has cilia. So those little black hairs are an identifying feature of this lichen, as well as the dust that's on the edge of the lobe. So if you're taking a photo of really any species, you want to capture these reproductive forms. Another feature that we want to photograph is the branches. So on this lichen here, this is an Usnea species. It branches. So we want to get as close as possible to the branches. In particular on Usnea, another identifying feature is the color of the base. So if you can get to the base of where it connects to the substrate, that's one of the identifying features, whether it's blackened or not. You also want to look at the surface of the spikes. So on Usnea specifically, there's sometimes papillae, which this one appears to have. There's also branches, and there's also possibly acidia on the species. Some Usnea also has apothecia. This specimen doesn't appear to. Another feature of Usnea is the inside of the lichen is one of the identifying features. So with Usnea, and you should probably do this with organisms that have naturally fallen on the ground rather than ones that are still on their substrate. But if you can gently peel back the top layer and look at the inside and the color inside, that's one of the identifying features of Usnea. So specific genus of lichen will have a different color inside. So this one appears to be white, but other species of Usnea can have red or pink, and that's called a medulla. And then lower cortex. So on these kind of foliose lichen, you can peel back and look underneath. So this one has a brown, and then towards the center it's more black. This is one of the identifying features of many lichen as well. So that's called the lower cortex, or the lower surface. And then we can talk about measurement. So many species of lichen only grow to a certain size. So if you want to take identifiable photos, you can get a ruler. I bought this police evidence measurement thing on Amazon. I use this, but you can just grab a ruler from your kids' school supplies, borrow that. This can help. knowing its color will also capture the color more accurately. Let's talk about how you capture these photos. So I tend to capture photos using the camera app on my iPhone rather than the iNaturalist app, especially the ones that do AI identification as you're photographing them. You're basically using a lot of battery power to use those features when your phone's camera app will do kind of the same thing, but without using as much battery life. So I capture all my photos on my iPhone's camera, and then I upload them at a later date. I've also noticed that the iNaturalist app, when you take photos using it, it doesn't capture at full resolution. So when you take photos using your phone's native camera app, they'll be higher resolution and they'll capture more detail in the photographs. And then we can talk about the order of the photographs when you upload an observation to iNaturalist of lichen. So I would usually start with the medium shot. So this is the first photo that people are going to see when they look through the list of observations. And it's going to be hopefully a complete organism in that photo, and preferably just a single organism. But if there's other organisms in the same shot, like this one here, it doesn't matter too much. But I would typically go for the medium shot first, and then all the fine details. Sometimes it'll take, several photos to capture all of the fine details. So the bumpiness, any kind of ridges, there's some serratia on this one. And then I would leave the wide angle shot of the entire substrate for the last photo, because that's probably the least important.